Today's daf is daf Lamed Zayin. So we're up to the Mishnah, and we're continuing what we learned before about Shremim and so on. But here we have an interesting case. We actually had already before in Bava Metzia. The Mishnah says, you tell two people, Gozalti le'echer mikem. This is the Reisha, beginning of the Mishnah. You told two people, I know I stole from one of you, but the only day I don't know. So he's a shema. He doesn't know who he stole it from. That's case number one. And as we're going to see, that the people, the victim, doesn't know either. So it's like a case of shema and shema. Case number two in the Reisha, nothing to do with stealing. One of your parents or one of your fathers, hefkidli, once gave me something to mine for money, $100, but the Eini Yudeya Ezehu. I just can't remember who it was. Again, similar case to the Xela. Or we'll see in the Gemara, maybe there's a big difference. Different logic. So because you don't know who you owe the money to, you got to give them both. You got to reimburse both possible victims. You got to reimburse both possible people that their father might have given you the money. Why? Because you step forward and you will murder. Why should that have any bearing on the case? We'll soon see. What about Shnayim? Two people came to one person and they said to him, please mine for us money. And we really had the beginning of the Masechta. One of them gave $100. One of them gave $200. Both of them gave bundles, but one bundle contained 100 and one bundle contained 200. Then it comes time to collect. Each one claims that they're the 200. Each one says they're the 200. He's nice and he gives each one 100, and Bashar, and the money that's in dispute is leave it till Yo. Comes along Rabbi Yossi says, so my heaves to the Rama. It's not fair. What's disincentive is there for the liar to lie? He's lying and he's gambling that maybe he'll get some extra. If worse than worse, I won't get the extra, but I still get back what's mine. The only way is to put pressure on the kind of this. Well, let it come over. So if he wants to say face, I thought I gave, but I looked at my records, it wasn't me, and so on and so forth. At least he'll get his share of the money. It's quite obvious that Rabbi Yossi was very, very practical. The people who give mother, he said it's not fair. You'll make money off somebody else's cow. Here he's saying it's not fair. The Rama, you have to ensure that there's no Rama matter. So Rabbi Yossi is like a very practical person. Similar case, and I want to know why we have to repeat again. They gave two kelim. One kelim worth $100, $1,000. I'm the one who gave you the $1,000 keli. No, I'm the one who gave you the $1,000 keli. Is noisin as cotton lechem and give the cheaper one to one of them. It's the same principle as before. That the money that's in dispute, you leave. So what happens is you give the small one. Then you break the larger one. Interesting, I don't say you sell it. He says you break, because the mother seems to say there's a loss here. You break the larger one and the pieces, let's say it's silver, and you take back, let's say the small kid with 100 and the big kid with 1,000. So you break the larger one, and you take $100 worth of it, and you sell it, and you convert it into money. And the other remaining $900 worth of broken keli, you leave until the yo comes. Same thing. What disincentive is it for the Ramai? Okay. Says the Gemara. So in the beginning, I said to two people, I stole from one of you, it's a suffix, and you make me pay not $100 but $200. Alma, what do we see from here? We can only conclude that misfeka, even when you're in doubt, about money matters, is mafkin. We will take money away from you, even though we know you only owe 100. We don't know which one you owe to, and we'll make you pay 200. We don't say, well, we don't know. Let's him keep the money and let these people prove that they were the victim. We don't say that. It's from a suffix you already take out money. That's what it seems clearly from here. This has nothing to do with the question we had Yechanan and Rabuna about whether a body and a shema body are the one guy says you owe me $100. The other guy says I don't remember. Is that enough grounds to make you pay? So over here, this has nothing to do with body or shema, because on the one hand, he is a body.
He's a redor,
yeah, but he doesn't know who to. So he.
Yeah, but inside the chiyuv, where you have a body of a shema, it's both claimants. One is a body, one is a shema. It's not the claimants. It's the baldin who's
Okay, the Achrayim say, here's the body and the body. I know, I'm the guy who came over and said, I stole money. I know, I don't know $200. Right? If each one of you guys are, let's say, saying, oh, you stole me $100 each. But I say, I know, I definitely not steal both of you. I just don't know which one I just steal. Exactly. So that's body and a body. Because that's a body, I don't do the case of body and Shema. So I think, Mother, but I mean, I'll ask the question. We learned in this very Mishnah, in the end, two people gave money to somebody to mine. Then one of them gave 100, 200. We don't know who's the 100, who's the 200. Each one claims 200. You just said at the beginning of the Mishnah, but there's a suffix. You take out money, I don't know who I stole from. I got to pay them both. So how come the case of Pekudin, we said, well, you don't know who the second $100 came from. Give them both the second $100. What's the chiluk? Amalei, he said back to him, what kind of question is that? Pekudin, I guess, Karamis. You're asking a question, Pekudin. You know why Begzel in the beginning of the Mishnah would make you pay twice? Because Gezel Avadi Suda, Konsura Banan. By Gezel, he did something wrong. You stole. You didn't have it. So therefore we're going to punish you. But Pekudin Avadi Suda, why should we penalize you? You didn't do any Easter over here. Two people gave you, actually you're doing them a favor, you're buying the money for them. You just don't remember who gave the second $100, so therefore we don't penalize you. So you also fine, you're right. You cannot ask a question from Pekudin on Gzela, but I'll ask you a question from Gzela on Gzela and from Pekudin on Pekudin. I have two questions. Let's start first with Gzela. We'll see in a minute. Rabbi, Pekudin, first of all, Pekudin, in the beginning of the mission, it says, one of your parents gave me extra $100. So there's no knas here, and yet you got to give both of them $100. There's no penalty here. One of them gave you gave me $100 to mine. I just don't remember who it is. And what's the Mishnah Paskin? Give to each one of them $100.
This is a case of suffix, not when looking at suffix.
Because here you definitely owe the money. There's no suffix.
I owe one person.
Yeah, but it's not. Mama was on there. We don't know when the cow, miscarried. Let's say maybe there's no here, maybe there's a thing here. You definitely owe money. The question to who? So it's not Sumchil's case. We're going to ask it better. We're going to ask a question like this. You got caught, we make him pay, and don't tell me I have a penalty. There's no penalty here. Obviously, let's see, money days, got to use one. But I mean, I'll ask a question. But in the very same mission, it says about Pekudin. Forget Zil, you're right. I should have asked you about Zil. I'm going to ask you at the beginning of the mission, talked about Pekudin, where you pay both of them $100, even though you only owe one. And at the end of the mission, one guy gave you 100, one guy gave you 200. You say, no, that remaining 200 is in dispute. What do you mean? Why do you make him pay both of them $100? Because one of them you definitely owe $100 to. The extra 100. Oh, my Rava says there is a penalty in the Reisha. Why should there be a penalty in the Reisha? There's two possible scenarios. One possible scenario is that two people gave you things to mind at the same time, and you weren't careful. You weren't careful to make a note. This belongs to Reuben and this belongs to Shimon. So you were derelict in your responsibility. The other one is where there came two separate occasions where or they came in a way that you couldn't have known. For example, we'll see. Reisha, because one of them gave you money. Only one person gave you money. One person gave you money. You should remember who it was, right? It's treated. Two people came to you, each one with a separate bundle, and you should have therefore made a note. You should remember who gave you what. The Havelele made it. You should have known. So it's your fault. You were negligent. That's negligence. And therefore you have to pay both of them. So sort of a penalty. That's the ratio. The safer. How come in the case when one guy gave you 100, one guy gave you 200, we say that like you munach, want to penalize you as well. He said, you know what? But the safer Nats is talking about a case where they both came at the same time. Both gave you a bundle, looks exactly the same. One guy gave you with $100 inside, and one gave you $200 inside there. And they came at the same time, and they didn't bother marking it. So therefore, the Nifkut says, you guys were there, you gave me both something that looked so similar. And yet you didn't make any issue, you didn't write your name on it or anything. So you trust each other. Why should I be more machman than you guys are? And therefore, in that case, we don't penalize you at all. Is safe and nasi kimishi as if they both gave it to you together in the same bundle. The lahavel made it. Keep going, for example, that they both came together in the same time. And the Amalu, he said, like Kaptidana, you were there together and you look so similar, yet you weren't makbid, and not Kaptidana. Why should I be more particular than you guys? If you guys trust each other, I trusted your opinion or your judgment that you trust each other. So because of that question, and beginning the mission is like a penalty because you should have remembered. Okay, what's the question of Gezel? The Rami Gezel a Gezel. Over here in our Mishnah, it says if I said I stole from one, you ever don't remember who it is, you have to pay them both out in order to do tshuva. Sorry, hacha, I'm listening. Exactly, lechem became a man of 80 a day. I don't remember who. Oh, Abik Shalef became hipili mana. Not sure why we have to bring this case down. 80 days. I'm not like to that money. Get both. But Amino, and I'll ask you a question. A little bit become goes alechem mechamisha. If one guy stole from 5 people and they're all claiming from him, you stole from me. What do you do? So had machlek your tar for Rebbe Kiva. Rebbe Kiva said you cannot be the mitzvah hasha tashiv until you pay back each one. Tarver says, no, put the money down and walk away. Because all you owe is one person money. The 80 days, man goes, each one said, you claim you stole from me. Is maniach gizela b'nei mistalek. He puts it down, he walks away. So if Tarfin holds, I want you don't have to pay each one. So what's the chilik between our Mishnah's case where you have to pay each one when you say, I don't know who I stole from, and over there, you don't know who you stole from. Right over there, also you don't know who you stole from. And then we say, put the money down in the middle of the table, walk away. Now, the obvious thing is who said our Mishnah of Tarfin? Maybe our Mishnah follows Rabbi Kiva. Remember, Kiva over there also rules you got to pay each one. So it wasn't asked in a minute. Alma, let's make a little bit of money. I mean, we say, Ukamoin Becheskas Mari. Says, what's the problem? You asked me a question for the opinion of Tarfin. I'm Mishnah Rabbi Kiva, who holds over there also, you have to pay each one. The Gemara says, we learned a brisa on that Mishnah that he says like this: Moida Rab Tarfon is Moida, but if he came forward and said, "Look, I stole from one of you guys," any day of him, nobody's demanding it from him. Nobody's claiming him. He's coming forward and he says, "Look, I stole it from one of you guys. I don't know which one it is." Rabbi Tarfon is Moida. Why is Tarfon is Moida? So we see in our case, even Rabbi Tarfon would say that
Mishum Knas that we make him pay both, or is that Mishum Knas, or just
no,
do tshuva and give it back?
Oh, that's it. The Gemara will explain in a minute. The Gemara explain right now. Says Gemara. So make the list of Tarot here. Everyone is made in our Mishnah's case. What's the difference? What's the difference in this Tarfon is made, which is our Mishnah's case, or the Mishnah there? The most are very simple. If over there they're demanding from him, each one says you stole from me. So the fact is he says I only stole from one of you. They have to bring evidence when taking money out. So he puts it on the table, he walks away. Here he came forward. Here he came forward and he said, look, I stole from you. He wants to do tshuva. You want to do tshuva properly. The only way to do tshuva is that you reimburse the victim. But which one is the victim? You reimburse both. They can now prove to you. Tony says, in this very Mishnah, says, what's the Mishnah? Why do you pay both? It says in the Mishnah clearly, because in other words, it was his idea to come forward. He wants to do tshuva. His conscience is bothering him. So the only way to do tshuva is you got to give both. Mashengi over there, Bava Kama, the Tarfa says, leave it on the table, you walk away because they're demanding from him. Well, you want to make sure that you prove that he stole from 5. Each one has to prove it. Otherwise, you put it on the table, you walk away. You said Hosni Kotovle in the Mishnah over there, where they demanded from him.
I'm just picturing the scene in my mind.
5 people, okay, you're a gun.
He puts it on the table. They'll grab it. They'll look at the base, and you have Shneimokes and Batals. The
Gemara is going to modify that whole thing, what it means. First one has a question about Lomatain. Okay, 5 people come along, each one says you stole from me. So what does the defendant say for himself? And he says nothing. Says nothing. Doesn't deny, doesn't agree, he says nothing. And Maslow interesting, late in the a lot of machlekes, there were 2 students of the same Rebbe, each one claimed the Rebbe said differently. The Master Rebbe,
so this one says the Rebbe does not and the other one says
true. Amar Rebbe, hello, Savach, he screams, he denies it. Bob Mike, I never stole from anything from you. So no more explains. So the one says he screams and denies it. He said, I never stole from you. But shtika, but had he been quiet, then it's kaida. That means he would have to pay every one of them back. He's quiet and still only pay back one. The reason why he was shaking is not because he's murdered. He knows he stole from one of them. He just doesn't know which one. So how can he get up and deny it? You can't say, I did not steal from you. You don't know. That's the problem. I don't know if I do know I stole from one person. I just don't know whose wallet it was. You guys all sit together, you put your wallets on the table. I took money out of the wallet. I don't know whose wallet it was. So I was this is not a haidah, kind of a silence. But you know why I was quiet? I said, Dilma, hi, Maybe hi who? Maybe you tackle the guy who stole from him. I don't know. So why would I deny something? I'm being honest here. Mama, this is what your question was. So what? Let's paint the picture here. Rav Tarfon says 5 people claim that you stole from me. He puts the money on the table. He walks away. He puts it on the table. He walks away. The chocolate kula and all the 5 then fight it out, and then each one takes a section, a share. But we had before the Gemara. Rab Abba said, "Kol sofik yinuach, and surely avade yinuach." You see an object that looks like it's not it's body it's very clear, it's protected. You can see that somebody hid it there. Then you shouldn't touch it. If it has no simon, that's money. Or something it's slightly protected. It's not 100% clear whether the Balabas lost it, and therefore definitely by now the year you can keep it, or the Balabas put it there and he intends to come back. So we say by a suffix, don't take it because it has no simon. And if you take it and the Balabas Taka put it down there and it comes back to it, it has no simon. We'll never find it. And if you took it, you don't give it back. What do you mean you don't give it back? Because since there's no simon, and the guy said, "Oh, I put the $50 there." The problem is, if you give it back to him, maybe he's not his money, someone else's money, and you, in an active way, stole from somebody else because you gave this guy someone else's money, and therefore you don't give it back to this person. But it doesn't mean that you can keep it. You have to leave it until Mashiach comes. So
does he make the person who gave it to into a garment?
If he gives him money, yeah, it doesn't matter. If I'm the decider. I'm like the judge here. If I decide to give you this money and taka belong to somebody else, I'm the guy because I gave it to you. So, so the question is,
if I know nobody, I never lost any money, and suddenly someone comes to me and says, "Maybe I stole from you here's $100." I'm accepting it very happily.
Oh, because he says clearly I stole you, don't talk about it. Then he taxed over.
No, but he says, "I'm not sure who I stole. It could be from you, but for you, here's 100 each."
Yeah, so
I was never a victim. I know that I always had my wallet in my pocket. I never lost a penny.
So then why are you standing here? So then
that makes me a gun if I accept $100 for nothing.
Possibly. But in this case, now we're talking about the old saying Shema. I don't know. They don't count. They didn't count, even though when the money's in your pocket, you count all the time. When the money is sitting in your house, you don't really count all the time. So the question here is, how can you put it on the table? And by putting it on the table, if 5 of them take it, 4 of them are not taking it correctly. How can you allow that to happen? How is it different than Safik Nuach? Says the Gemara, you know what it means? You don't put it on the table and let them fight it out. It means leave it till Mashiach comes, till El Yo comes. That means you don't keep it either. You don't give it back to them and let them fight it out, even though it sounds like, yeah, you put it somewhere. Exactly. You must have had a whole, a register or something for people who, and one day you come and prove it. Now Abai says, I have a question for you. Me Amar Rabbi Kiva then argues up Tarfon, and he says, look, if 5 people you don't claim you stole it from me, then the only that he said, Rabbi Kiva uses words, Loi zu haderech mitzi asim in aveda. Putting on the table or just putting it aside, one person's money is not going to do it. You got to pay each one. Each one saying, "Buddy, you stole from me." You got to pay back each one. Now, okay, right now we're not sure it's a body yet. Right now we're not sure it's a body. We're learning that he's saying that I stole from one of you. We don't know which one he stole. The Kiva says you got to pay each one. That means that the Kiva holds misfeika mafkinim amen. Well, we start off with our Mishnah with that assumption, but in the case of a Kiva, it's clear the Kiva holds you got to pay each one. So now we don't say look, he only said he owes one of them. No, you got to pay each one. Well, that's a question. But question from Rabbi Kiva. We learned Nafal Habayit. What happened? My house collapsed. There was a mother and a child there. If the child died first, then the mother first yasher the child, and then the wife died, then the relatives of the mother, her family gets the leadership. But if she predeceased her son, then the son yashed her. Then it's this child's family who collects the leadership. But we don't know. So what happens in this case? Nafal Habayit olav alima yersha ben. I mean, the yersha the sense say maybe. They say that could be the mother passed. No, definitively they were there. They said, look, maybe the mother passed away first, and therefore our brother Rebbe Yash and everything, from his mother, they don't share the same mother, for example, and we Yash. Maybe have Ben Mason and our sister Yash and her son, and therefore it's ours. But Eilu Ve'elu Moide, Beisham Beis would have a number of arguments there regarding these kind of Yerushas. They Moide Sheyach Leiku. In this case, everyone is Moide that the din is Yach Leiku. It's a genuine suffix. We don't know who died first, so therefore, what you do is, what do you call it? Because Bishame always said Yach Leiku. Bishil always says leave the money where it is. But in this case, Bishil is Moide also. Mamish, it's a suffix. We don't know, and you divide. Comes Log Kiva, even though I generally follow Beishamai, that you always say Achleiku, but Moida Ani Bazu. In this case, I say, and I did I'm Moida to Beisil, but he says in other cases, which is leave the money where it is. Why? Because it's a suffix. So what do we see here? What's the principle of Akiva? When there's a suffix, you don't take money away. So how can Akiva say when he says I stole from one of you, I don't know which one, you pay a 5, and to leave the suffix, you do take. What's going on here? Malay, the Gemara makes that distinction. Harsam over there indicates of the Yerusha Shema v'Shema. No one knows what happened there. Who died first, the son or the mother? So therefore, Rabbi Akiva says, leave things the way they are. Gozel echad mechamisha. In that case, there it's in the Mishnah there in the case of Bava Kama Yavamas. They're talking about bari. These 5 people, each one says, "You stole from me," and you're saying, "I don't know who I stole from." V'Shema, and that's why Rabbi Akiva says when there's a bari. And there's a Shema, then you got to pay each one. You got to pay each one for their claim. So the Gemara. This is mamish machlek is a body Shema, body Odev. Rabbi Kiva saying body Odev. How can Amoraim argue this? Here again is different, because the guy is admitted that he definitely owes money. In the case when Rabbi Huna and Rabbi Yechoneh argue about body v'Shema, I say you owe me $100, and you say I don't know. I don't know if I owe it all. Okay, that case in Machlek is whether you have a fatima or not. Over here, I'm saying I owe money to one of you. I just don't know which one. So this is not a body Shem. Just like a body, and the second guy is mighty owes money. The question is only to who. So it's more reason to believe the bodies, because you're also saying you owe money. Therefore, it's totally unrelated to the other machlekes, as the Achrein explained. It says further, what about now, Mishnah? We can be tough clearly. I stole from one of you. You just said that the case of Yava, the case of Yerusha, the mother and the son, is the case of Shema Shema. Rabbi Kiva never says you leave money the way it is. No, our Mishnah is the case of the Shema Shema. They didn't know that they were stolen, that they were robbed. You don't know. You said you're robbed. You don't know which one it's from. So it's a case of Shema v'Shema, and we're making you pay both. Why is Rabbi Kiva making you pay both? V'Shema v'Shema, you know, that money. Says the Gemara again. Who told you I'm Mishnah Rabbi Kiva? Maybe I'm Mishnah Rabbi Tarfon. Maybe Rabbi Kiva and our Mishnah, would be interested. Rabbi Kiva told you don't have to pay, like the case of the aim and the ben. So interesting. Tarfon holds generally you don't have to pay. Now Mishnah says you have to pay each one, and Rabbi Kiva generally says you have to pay each one, but now Mishnah says you don't. The Tanya law, we actually let the Braisa Dahi, we let the Braisa comment on the in the case in Yavamas there were the 5 people. Moide of Tarfon is Moide, but Oimer Lishnaim. Tarfon is Moide. If you tell 2 people, because Zalti Lechbe, I stole from one of you, and Mona the 80 days Lechem, the man Moide. When he said I'm Moide, who's he Moide to? L'chayr is Moide to Rabbi Kiva. But look, it means Rabbi Kiva himself holds. Rabbi Kiva himself holds that you have to pay. Kamala Tower says, I'm made in principle that in this case you have to pay, but not for the reason you say it. I'm saying that to be true, you have to pay. So therefore, our Mishnah could be Rabbi Tarfon, who says Rabbi Kiva. So because Rabbi Kiva holds that the reason why you pay is not because you were made, not because you're doing tshuva, because you pay because that's a din. You have to pay. So the Chayda we see Rabbi Kiva holds that the suffix you have to pay. How do you reconcile that with the case of the mother and the son, where you say leave things the way they are? It's a suffix. Leave it b'cheshka's mother. Machlekes we have the mother there in Yavamas. Who's cheshka bailim? Is the bailim the son or the mother? But you leave the cheshka bailim. You don't take anything out. So the Gemara, the Shema v'Shema. How do you know Takir? We're talking about a case here that it's Shema v'Shema. In our Mishnah, how do you know it's a case of Shema v'Shema? You tell me. Our Mishnah is Shema. How do you know? Like Tony Tayvin, so it doesn't say that they demanded from him. It says he came forward to them. Abachia says, he said, look, I stole from one of you. Abachia is the Sefter who's explaining our Mishnah says, and they say, Ein Yidea. So it's clear that it's Shema v'Shema. Yeah. Hakimna says the Gemara, it's not a kasha. Even why? But you want to know Rabbi Kiva because Hakimna law, but Bolas Shemayim. Rabbi Kiva would say our mission is talking about a case of the Bolas Shemayim. He came forward because the mission said clearly he's being murdered because he was murdered. He wants to be Yitzhak Shemayim, and that's why in this case of here, even though in the case of the son of Akiva himself paskin, since the Safli we don't take money out. So how come our Mishnah we take money out? But Akiva is saying also just like a tafel because the bolas of the Shemaim, you want to do tshuva, you have to pay. Let's get back to the other thing we said before. We said before there's a difference if one person comes along, you should have known. Or if two people come along and separate bundles, then you're not at fault. Rava says that if two people come to you, then that you should have in two separate bundles. They come at the same time, separately. You should have put each one aside, made a notation to yourself. This belongs to that person or that person. If you didn't, you're irresponsible and you're chayiv. Right? Rava said, Papa, everyone might. Two people. That's if two people came to a shepherd, one guy gave the shepherd one animal to mind for him, and one guy gave the shepherd two animals to mind for him. And each one now claims that they only gave two animals. So we say with this, Roya walks away and just puts the third animal down and says, "The guy, you fight it out." Now it's two separate bundles because this guy gave one animal, this guy gave two animals, and here even if they came at the same time, in the case that before you said they came at the same time, they both came in let's say wrapped in a handkerchief. It looked very similar, and they came at the same time and gave it to me, and nobody bothered putting the names out. To me, it seems that they trusted each other. In this case over here, even if they came at the same time, it's very self-evident. One guy has one animal and one guy has two animals. So therefore, they didn't have to say anything because you could see that you should have made a notation. So how come it says over there that everyone agrees in this case that you put it aside, the third animal, say fight it out? Over there, talking about he wasn't there. That the Tracer explains. Doesn't mean that he didn't know they gave it. He knew they gave it to him, but he wasn't there. B'shas Ma'aseh. Yeah, because every day they came and they just dropped it off before they went to work or something, and therefore it's since it wasn't his responsibility because they should have made some connotation. They knew the Ray wasn't there at the time. Second one, in our Mishnah, we have two cases, but the principle is the same. First one says one guy gave 100, one gave 200. We don't know what happened to the second 100. Each one claims it. So if we say yank or the basic says Im came and then we talk about a case where you gave a big keli and a small keli, and you tell me that you break the big keli and give each one the equivalent of a small keli, and then the balance you give it a sign. The Achreim asked a brilliant question. I'm going to answer it. That was a question itself. We have if Tana Bechitin V'Hayda I demand from your wheat and your maida barley. So not only you potter from wheat, you potter barley. Now why you potter from barley? But your maida, your barley. So we say, as Taisa in the Shem say, you potter from the barley as well. Why? Because since I'm not claiming from your barley, it's as if I was Meichel. So I can't remember who asked the question. So each one says that the big keli is theirs, which means each one is saying the small keli were Meichel. Even the real owner of the small keli is claiming the big keli. It's like and he's not claiming the small keli, which means he's saying you can keep the small keli. So let the guy keep the small keli. Let them both fight out the big keli because they're both meichelim. And so the Gemara they start explaining why this is not considered a mechil. Anyway, the principle is the same. What do you have to have for cases? Say no, no. If we only in the first case about $100 and $200, and then we say, okay, each will take back your 100 and their balance in the 100 will leave it to Yemunah. The Rabbanan say, no, what Yemunah should the lack of Seder. Each dollar is separate from the next dollar, and you take the $100, the extra $100, and you put it aside. Over here. The ikap seder, but over here that there is a law. Sorry, you're taking the big keli, a beautiful vase, whatever it is, and you're breaking it. So the keli, loses value, and it's a big loss. And the real owner now no longer has a beautiful keli. So maybe there'll be more in this case here we got to give an incentive. Somebody should come forward and be murdered. So that's what I tell you. That even in this case, too bad. If you only do the second case, I would say that in this case here we will say behave munach. I will behave in the case of the money was clear cut 100, maybe even with the abundance. If you need all these cases. For the mother, what are you talking about? You're telling me that Rabbi Yasi, you would have thought that Rabbi Yasi is murder. How can you have thought that Rabbi Yasi is murder? Rabbi Yasi is saying that the whole reason is to give this incentive. I don't care if there's a loss or not a loss. Big breaking Kaylee. The fact is that the guy is going to walk away scot free. So Rabbi Yasi said, no, let's put it all aside. So what's in the tzichrasa? From my time, Rabbi Yasi should have the Rami. El Tavayu Rabbanan. You're right. According to Yeshiva, we don't need both cases. We need both cases that are Rabbanan. The Rabbanan say, give this guy 100, this guy 100, and the last 100, leave it aside. But in case of a Keli, we would have thought the Rabbanan might have Yeshiva. Why destroy the Keli? Put the whole thing aside. So just tell us the case of the Keli, and then we will, if the Madr in the case of the Keli, say, each one gets back, their equivalent of a small Keli in the balance you leave aside. So surely in the case of Mana, the Rabbanan would say the same thing. Why do you need the case? The Rabban eats a beloizu avzuk tani. Starts with a smaller chiddush, in which we have to bring it. Okay, good Shabbos. We learn tomorrow night in Mitzvah.